Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of TCG Talk, back today with another video. And in today's video, I'm going to be doing the next part in my How to Ira series. We're going to be talking about 2, 3, 4, and 5 card combos. What has changed since the Hunted came out? What extra tools do we have to make Ira even more consistent and even raise her damage ceiling, which used to be a weakness of hers, but also talk about this implied value and how you can gain advantage turn over turn if you're new to the hero and hopefully get you some more wins. So if you're new to the channel, welcome. Thank you so much for stopping by. Hopefully enjoy your stay. If you're a long-staying supporter, thank you so much as always. Feel free to check out the Discord down below, the channel membership, as well as the creator worksheet if you want to check out some other cool creators in this game. So we'll get right into it. As you can see, Ira above me, +1 on your second attack each turn. What does that mean? It basically means that you can get implied, or not implied, it's actual value. Get actual value turn over turn on your opponent and outvalue them over multiple turn cycles to eventually put yourself in a position where you can close out the game. Now, there's a lot of what ifs in this situation, in this scenario. There's a lot of differences in how you play to each hero, and we'll hopefully get into that one day. But for now, I just want to show some macro concepts for 2, 3, 4, and 5 card hands, concepts that you can try to identify when you're trying to sculpt the correct hand, and also talk about when is best and when is not best to play these hands. So we'll get right into it. So in most terms of Flesh and Blood, most people equate a single card to 3 values. Some people equate a single card to 3.5 value, whether that's on offense or defense, but it's typically 3 value. Like if you take a card like Leg Tap is a 1 for 4 go again. So on offense, it's 4 value, but it blocks for 2. It also requires 2 cards to play it. So it all depends on how you look at things, right? Some people look at they'll add up and subtract certain values on the card, but typically it's 3 value is what most people equate. So a 1 card hand will attack for 3, a 2 card hand will attack for 6, a 3 card hand will attack for 9-ish, so on and so forth. And things can change based off on hits and block value and stuff like that. So typically people like to look at 3 value, and the reason for that is an average turn cycle. You're trying to get above 12 value. In today's Flesh and Blood world, honestly, you're trying to get above 13 value in my opinion. But the way you can do that with Ira is by having good defensive tools that allow you to have a good defensive turn marked with, combined with that +1 ability that allows you to get overrate on your offensive turn. For example, and you don't even have to use Command and Conquer if you don't want, typically a 2 card hand is 6 value, right? Well, on defense, you could play something like a 3 block and a sink below, so now you just got 7 value on defense. And then on offense, you could do something like Kadachi for 1 and then get CNC for 7 with Ira's ability, using those last 2 resources from your blue, and all of a sudden you've blocked for 7 on defense and attacked for 7 on offense, and you had a 14 value turn cycle. So now you're above 1 to 2 value of the average turn cycle of a normal Flesh and Blood deck, and that's how you gain those incremental advantages with Ira to eventually close out the game and outvalue your opponent. One of Ira's biggest strengths, her biggest strength, honestly, is also her greatest weakness. It truly is. And that's the ability to hold a lead, but also the ability to hard to come back. With Ira, into a skilled Ira, unless you have some crazy combo like Kano or Acilio or something nuts where you can take my whole hand and also deal a ton of damage to me, or like some insane Aurora combo, like 5 card hand, most of the time when you get down 10-ish plus life on against a talented Ira that knows how to play their deck, you're in trouble. Like, it's going to be very hard for you to win. You're going to have to get some really crazy plays to even have a chance. It's really difficult. But on the flip side, if Ira goes down 10 to 15 life, it's really difficult to come back. You have to really line up some crazy 5 card hand with a chain ender that threatens like something that shuts off their turn, like an erase face on a Syndra, all right, or maybe a weakest link on like an Acilio, I don't know, something random, right, or Enigma. So all that to say, you want to continue to have this value turn over turn. One of the easiest play lines to look for if you're just starting out on the hero is the 2 card 8, right? So it doesn't have to be Censor. It could be Pounding Gale. It could be Mauling Key. It could be any 1 for 5, right? That Ira normally plays. Sound the Alarm, stuff like that, right? Being able to hold a blue and a chain ender like a 1 for 5 and block with 2 cards, so you're blocking hopefully for 6, and then you Kadachi for 1, Kadachi for 2 because of Ira's ability, and then you end on a 1 for 5, whatever the case may be. You just blocked for 6 hopefully on their turn if you had 2/3 blocks, and then you attack for 8 on your turn, so that's again a 14 value turn cycle, and then you're able, even if you blocked for 5, it's a 13 value turn cycle, still above 1. And you're threatening Mask of Momentum, which gets you some implied value there. Now, there's certain heroes like Dynamo Warrior or Enigma that can block your Kadachis with impunity a lot easier. But for the most part, you're going to be threatening that Mask of Momentum, which then makes your opponent have to make a decision. These are the initial play lines you're looking for if you're just starting out on the deck. Now, the 2-card play is always solid. Like, you can never go wrong. However, you're looking for this play line more in those mid-range matchups where you want to outvalue your opponent through little incremental damage. They might not have a crazy power turn, or you're not worried about them potentially comboing you out. So into decks like Guardian, this is really good and really useful to have. Even sometimes into Syndra, because she will try to mid-range with you a little bit from time to time. Into decks like Assassin, this is what you're looking to do. You're looking to block with 2 cards and then swing for 8. Like, that's your bread and butter. That's how you're going to start to create a little bit more value train, and then eventually hit them with like a 4 or 5 card hand when you've bought that space from the value of your attacks or your 2-card plays. You also now, because of Blood Spattered Vest, are able to have what Ira used to have with Tunic, except whenever you want it. So typically on Tunic, Ira was looking to try to do something like this, where she would Kadachi for 1, Kadachi for 2, activate Tunic, and then play CNC. So you have a 2-card 9 with the on hit. Or you could do Erase Face or Weakest Link, whatever the 2 for 6 you're using is, right? Now, because Blood Spatter Vest, which it says whenever a dagger you control hits, you may put a counter on this and gain a resource. Once it gets 3 counters, it dies. You basically have an on-demand Tunic counter. Like I said, unless you're playing like a Dynamo Warrior or an Enigma, typically Vest is almost always going to be turned on against an opponent because no one ever wants to block that first Kadachi. So you're going to get that resource more times than not. And you're able to do these 2-card 9 plays on demand. You also look for this in the matchups like Guardian, Assassin, any mid-range, even Warrior, where you're trying to, outvalue them over a little bit over time until you can buy space for that big turn. So you're looking for these 2-card 9s. Then you have the 3-card plays. So again, like we said with the value, most 3-card hands in most decks are around 9 to 10 value. Even the height of aggro decks, right? So you take Aurora, for example. If she throws 3-4 powers at you, they'll all have go again, like Ravenous Rabble, Flittering Charge. She just did a 3-card 12. That's very, very good. But as you can see with Ira, you can get to that 3-card 12 as well, while also threatening a card draw with Mask of Momentum. Being able to do plays like Kadachi for 1, paying the backside for 4. This also could be 100 wins if you want it to be. I'm just giving you budget options for anyone out there that's new to the game. Kadachi for 1, and then a Chain Ender. Again, it can be Censor, it can be Mauling Key, doesn't care, but you get even more value when you start upgrading your pieces. But so this play right here is a 3-card 11. If paying the backside hits and gets that 1 extra damage with the dagger because of its ability, then it ends up being a 3-card 12. And now you are literally equaling the value of the best aggro deck in the game in Aurora. Now, can you do this every turn consistently? That's the question you have to ask, and you have to try to do it. But it shows you that you can even race some of these aggro decks depending on your hand structure, and that's when you have to decide, like, do I block here, do I not block, and so on and so forth, right? So that's kind of what you're looking at there. Then you also have the implied value of Censor, of a card like Censor, or maybe a card like Sound the Alarm into Assassin. You also have Mask of Momentum trigger that they have to worry about. So even though math-wise this is a 3-card 11, if I rip a card from Aurora because she doesn't want me to draw, then all of a sudden it becomes a 3-card 14 because you just took a card from them, right? So you're getting more and more value. And so that's what you're trying to do. Then you have plays again with Blood Spattered Vest, where you can do 12 to 13 card value 3-card hands. Again, this is a similar line that you would have taken when you had Tunic, and if you still play Tunic, that's completely fine. A lot of strong players in Ira still play Tunic. I'm not saying Vest is like leaps and bounds better. I just like the on-demand side of what Vest gives you, because I like being able to do these turns. Like last night, for example, my Armory, I was playing against Arachne, slipped through the cracks, and I was able to have a turn like this 2 turns in a row. So I was able to have like a high value turn where normally my tunic counter would have been used and I couldn't have done it the next turn. But regardless, being able to do like Kodachi for 1, gain a resource with Vest, Bittering Thorns for 5, and then CNC for 6, potentially 7 if they did not respect the Bittering Thorns. So you're getting 12 to 13 value off of 3 cards with an on hit and Threatening Mask momentum. Super good. Anytime you can get an attack over 4 over that D-React mark, you're starting to get in a really good spot, right? You even have plays like this where if you notice, every attack except for 1, not counting the Kodachi, is over 4, which is super good to force your opponent to give you multiple cards or equipment in the matchup. Being able to get 15 value off a 4-card hand, pitching a blue, being able to go Kodachi for 1, cut through, which is an amazing addition from the Hunted, give him +1 from itself and +1 from Ira since the dagger hit. Comes in for 5, go again. Then you have Spinning Wheel Kick for 4, Sensor for 5. This could be Sound the Alarm, this could be Pounding Gale, doesn't matter. You're getting 15 value off 4 cards, your Threatening Mask momentum, and you're, most of the time, if you have a fully tuned Ira deck, you are threatening some type of on-hit at the end of the turn. So again, as you can see, like we talked about with Aurora, if she has 4 cards and she throws all 4s at you, you are nearly equaling Aurora's damage value with your own damage. And this is something, Ira got tools like Pay in the Backside and Cut Through and Blood Spattered Vest in the Hunted, which is allowing her to now keep up with some of these aggro decks. Now, it's not going to be consistent every single time. I'm not saying you can just race Aurora down. Everyone who's played this deck knows it's slightly unfavored into Aurora, but it's a lot better now. And if you're watching this video 6 months from now, whatever aggro deck is in the format, you can race them down depending on what your hand structure looks like. You just have to be able to identify that. And then this is where Ira really starts to shine with Dual Threat. Dual Threat is probably the best tool that Ira got in the entire Hunted set. Dual Threat reads, I know it's small, but it reads, if you've been attacked with a weapon attack this turn, your next attack action card gets +3 this turn. If you've attacked with an attack action card this turn, your next weapon attack gets +3 this turn. So it's a dual ability. So if you've just had attacked with a Kodachi and then you play Dual Threat, your next attack action will get +3. If you've just attacked with attack action, your next weapon attack. But if you can attack with both before playing it, then you will buff both your next weapon and your next attack action card. So on a 4-card hand like this, you Kodachi for 1, you Cut Through for 5. Again, you're not worrying about mask momentum on this play as much. You're worrying about sheer damage. And you might get lucky and they try to respect your mask and block your Cut Through. That's even better. Then you play Dual Threat, in which your Kodachi will get +3 because you played Cut Through, so Kodachi for 4. And then your Sensor will get +3 because you played Kodachi this turn, and that'll get you, before you play Dual Threat, and that'll make it 8. So you're attacking, as you can see, for 18 damage off of 4 cards, which is 2 over the rate of like the best aggro deck. And it's threatening an on-hit at the end of the turn. Again, this is what Ira didn't have before, because Dual Threat, when it's turned on for you, is essentially a 0 for 6. It's a 0 for 6 3-block. And it allows you to have these 18 to 24 damage turn plays, which Ira never really had before. Like, Ira on her best day before on a 4-card hand, or even a 5-card hand, was like a blue, 2 1 for 4 go-agains, and a CNC. Like, that was essentially what you were hoping for. Maybe a 0 cost. So you would start like, off Tunic, you do like 100 wins into Spinning Wheel Kick, which was like, I'm doing quick math on the fly, like 7. Then Bittering Thorns gets you to 11. You activate Tunic, right? And then you play CNC, which got you to 17. And that was like the ultimate, like, best possible play you could do, right? Off of a blue. Now you can get even higher than that on 4 cards, 18 value, and on 5-card hands you get 20 plus. We just never had that before. Like what I just mentioned to you is a 5-card hand, 5 card 17, which for Ira was pretty good. Now, like, you can go even higher than that, which has really changed some of these aggro matchups. So this is one thing you're looking for. Another one, again, this is just 19 value, 1 value more, but you get to end on a 2 for 6, which typically in the matchup you're playing against is very impactful. Being able to use that Blood Spattered Vest to gain 1 more resource, to go up to 4 resources total for the turn, and then be able to play like a CNC for 9, an Erase Face for 9 against an Aurora or a Syndra, a Humble for 9, whatever the case may be, whatever 2 for 6 you're using. Very, very impactful. Then we go to the 5-card hands, which, again, this is where Ira really, her damage ceiling is just raised, and it really helped the deck a lot. Being able to do Kodachi for 1, this is like a really big power play. You're going to use 2 stain counters on this play. But being able to do Kodachi for 1, Pay in the Backside for 4. If it hits, it's 5. play dual threat. You play Kodachi for 1, spinning wheel kick for 7, and then you play CNC for 6. So you're doing 22 to 23 damage on a 5-card hand, basically like your version of a Blood Rush Bellow, right? Or even better than a Blood Rush Bellow turn. Really, really powerful stuff, and you can really take tempo for this. And don't forget, even on a turn like this, even though you're playing dual threat, you still can you still can threaten Mask Momentum, as you can see at the end there. Dual threat also pairs very well with Pouncing Paws. Pouncing Paws is a way to be able to have that attack action proc before you play dual threat. So in a situation like this, right, let's say you didn't have that pain in the backside in your hand, or even let's go back one. Let's say you didn't have that cut through in your hand. You just had a 3-card hand. You had a blue, a dual threat, and a Command and Conquer. You're able to Kodachi for 1, activate Pouncing Paws, get a Crouching Tiger, play Crouching Tiger for 1 because of Ira's ability. Then you play dual threat, and then you go, you make sure you do the stain counter on the first Kodachi. Then you do Kodachi for 4 and CNC for 9. So basically off a 3-card hand, you had 1, 2, 11, 15. 3-card 15 off of dual threat, which is really, really good. So all this to say, definitely go back and pause some of these. These are some of the play lines you're looking for, and you just need to identify like when is best to do this, right? If I'm playing into a Guardian or an Assassin, or some type of mid-range-ish matchup, maybe even a Vincent, because you're trying to mid-range them out a little bit and potentially fatigue them, you want to look for those 2-card plays. If you are playing against a more aggro deck, you have to look for space to be able to do those efficient 3- and 4-card plays that allow you to race down the opponent. You can't just block out an Aurora. A talented Aurora will beat you. It's very hard to just block out Syndra. You have to look for those plays and be able to sideboard correctly into the right disruption, threatening Mask Momentum, threatening these overrated attacks in order to race them down and get them in a spot where you have the advantage, if that makes sense. So hopefully this was helpful. This at least gives you an idea of the intrinsic or the value of Ira, as well as like what you're looking for. I'm definitely going to go more in depth on certain matchups. I'm going to do that's going to be like one of the last videos in this series. I think I'm on part 4 now, and I think this series is going to go like 7 or 8 parts. The next series is definitely going to be the deck tech stuff. Excuse me. And then we're going to probably do a matchup guide where I'll talk about like all the relevant matchups now. Or I'll just go through every one, similar to how Levi did on a Roundtable Wraith with Azalea, where you just go matchup by matchup. Really like that video. And then we'll probably do some gameplay stuff. And I normally hate gameplay stuff just because it takes up so much time. And unless I have a buddy who will help me play games, I have to trust that I find a decent enough Talishar opponent. That's no shade on anybody. It's just some people quit or some people like don't care or whatever. So I want to be able to have a good match for you all. So hopefully I maybe get a buddy to help me out with that. But yeah, if you like this type of content, please leave a like, comment, or subscribe. If not me, it's completely fine. Go to another creator, leave a like, comment, subscribe on their stuff. Let's get more people seeing this game, and I'll see y'all next time on TCG Talk. Thank y'all so much.